Hello everybody, and I'm here for another low quality video. No, I'm just kidding, but I really do need to get a microphone, and I do apologize for the sound quality. I'm going to get a microphone eventually, but I told myself I'm not going to buy any more expensive supplies until I at least have 20 followers, so I think that's a good goal. So follow this channel if you want me to get good quality videos. All jokes aside, today's video is the pros and cons of off-grid living. And as you guys know, if you guys have been following me, I live full-time off-grid in an RV. And it's a little bit of a lie because for the wintertime, I am unfortunately at an RV park and I'm not off-grid traveling. And you guys can watch my other video if you're curious on why that is. But for this video today, we're still just going to do the pros and cons of off-grid living. Of course, the way that I live off-grid is a little different than some people. I don't have a dry cabin, in the woods where maybe then you could have a well drilled, all that, all that good stuff. Of course, my pros and cons might be different than somebody else's pros and cons, depending on the way that you're planning on living off-grid. And my list is going to be for boondocking, what I do. So, the first pro is the sense of freedom. When you live off-grid, you have this sense of freedom, like not being connected to the grid makes you almost feel like you're just out of the matrix almost. Like you're doing your own thing. You're not handing your money away to rent or, it's roughing it out, whatever you're doing. It just feels really cool and it feels really free. That's how I feel when I live off-grid. The next one kind of goes with that because you're in the wilderness and you're in touch with nature. A lot of the time when you're living off-grid, boondocking, you're probably going to be in the wilderness, and that means you're going to be more in touch with nature. And I feel like us humans forget that we are animals. We are literally a animal, and animals live in nature, and we kind of got out of that. And I feel like that's why, one of the reasons why so many people these days have so much anxiety, depression disorders, things like that, is because they're just not in tune with nature anymore, and they're not grounding themselves or even eating things from the earth anymore. So when you're in the wilderness, you're able to go foraging, go exploring, just you're in tune with nature, and I think that is just so cool, and it's a big pro for me. The next one, I feel like all of my pros almost go hand in hand with each other. They all kind of correlate, because my next pro is the sense of survival. It's just such a big pro for me because I feel like when you have this sense of survival, like you're like, how am I going to get water tomorrow? How am I going to make sure that I can keep my electricity going so I can stay warm at night, or so I can, if you need to use your computer for work or whatever, it's a sense of like, I'm in control of my own survival, and I feel like it kind of makes it so not every day is the same. You're not just living the same day over and over and over again, on repeat. It almost brings like a sense of purpose into your life, into your day-to-day living, and makes you appreciate the small things and value things like having a lot of water, like having hot water, abundance of electricity, things like that. Like right now, I'm at an RV park for the winter, and it feels like I'm at like a 5-star hotel because I can just go take a 2-hour-long shower if I want to, and like wash my hair. It's like, dang, okay, like, we're luxury over here. That makes you appreciate the small things in life, and I think that is so important. The next one goes hand in hand, like I said, with that is the primal instincts. I feel like when you're living off-grid, it really puts you in touch with your primal instincts. I am somebody that struggles with depression occasionally, and I feel like living off-grid just puts me in that, like, primal mode, like, alright, I gotta go chop wood, I gotta heat my house, So I'm in this sense of my primal mode, and I feel like it moves me out of that survival state. I know I said like sense of survival, but it's almost like that brings you out of, like, a lot of people are in this like survival autopilot mode all the time, and it sucks. It doesn't feel good when you're in that mode, And when you're living off grid, I feel like a lot of the times, obviously maybe you will feel like that sometimes. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be fixed forever. You gotta do the inner work as well. But for me, it moves me out of that for the most part, and I feel like I'm in so much control of my own environment, and I have to do the work if I want to be able to, not freeze to death at night. So I think that's such a big pro for me. And the next pro is the costs. For me, the costs are a lot lower than when I was on the grid renting an apartment. I can't say the same for everybody that lives off grid, because maybe somebody bought a big plot of land, and maybe that, the the payments for their land ended up costing more than what their house or apartment costed. But for me, I was renting an apartment that costed $2,000 a month. And right now, my costs are lower than that for not only my house, my RV, but also my almost brand new truck. And when I lived in an apartment, there was no way I could have bought a brand new truck. No way. I couldn't even buy like a decent vehicle. I wouldn't even have been able to finance a $7,000 vehicle. I was driving around beaters with heaters, and when something broke, I couldn't afford to get it fixed. And so now my payments are not only lower, but I'm also able to have nicer things. So that's a big pro for me. And the next one is that it is fun and dope. I'm sorry, but it's fun and dope. Like, it's cool. I love, like, the alternative lifestyle of doing van life. I'm doing the whole off-grid thing. Like, the amount of cool-ass people you meet on the road that just live out of tents, and they're just normal-seeming people, but just so dope. Like, the amount of people you meet that are just so cool. The creativity that you can bring, which is my next one, is the creativity aspect of it, is just so awesome, and I love it. It's such a big pro that you can be so creative in this lifestyle. Of course, with any lifestyle in life, but come on. I mean, this one, you're not going to live in an HOA, if you live out in the woods and you're off-grid. You're just going to be able, like, people got these, like, dope yurts. I just love it. I think there's endless possibilities to this lifestyle, and you can implement them into your entire being, and I love it so much. So that's a big pro for me. We're going to move on to the cons list because I don't really have a lot of time. So my con, and I'm saying con because there is only one con for me so far, is the lack of abundance of supplies. And this isn't even true in some cases. I feel like I know people who live off-grid that don't have a problem with the lack of supplies, although they put in a lot of work for that. Like, they have a well drilled, and they don't have a problem with electricity because they spent a lot of time getting, a lot of solar panels, batteries, generators, and stuff like that. But I feel like it takes time, especially if you don't have, like, the funds to just go out and spend all that money, like $20,000 on solar panels, So, and a lot of times when people live off-grid, they do have a lack of abundance of supplies. And for me, yeah, that is a con. It's not gonna, deter me from doing it, and it shouldn't deter you guys. But, sometimes it does suck when you want to take a hot shower and you just can't because you only got 2 gallons left in your tank, and you can't, you're trying to wash your dishes and you run out of water and you're like, well, shoot, I can't, like, drive to town right now, Although for me, it's just the pros outweigh the cons so much. I don't think it should completely deter you away from the lifestyle, and it definitely doesn't deter me. I don't mind it that much, and there's ways to get around it. For us, of course, we live in a camper, so we have a water tank, that we fill up. It's 40 gallons. What we do is we fill up our tank, and after we fill up our tank, we fill up 8 5-gallon water jugs, so that's 40 gallons of water as well. And our camper is much smaller than our truck, or it's much lighter than what our truck can pull, so we don't have a problem with putting, like, 40 more gallons in the bed, And once our tank runs out, we have an electric pump that just feeds our freshwater tank, so we're able to refill our tank, and then I'll take those to a spring or somewhere and fill those back up. And if you live next to a creek, you can fill it up with creek water as well. So, sorry, my dog is, like, barking in his sleep right now. I think my boyfriend might be home with my son. So yeah, that's gonna be it for now. I hope you guys like this video. Please let me know in the comments below of any questions, opinions that you guys might have. I do love a good opinion that is different than mine. I love hearing other things, so I would love to hear any comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.